In 2022, WWE's Vince McMahon faced shocking allegations of sexual misconduct and $12 million in hush money payments. An investigation forced him to step down, but he later reclaimed his position. Today, we uncover the scandal that rocked the wrestling world. If you're into deep dives on major scandals like this one, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime and behind-the-scenes stories. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Vince McMahon's career is synonymous with the rise and dominance of professional wrestling as global entertainment. Born in 1945, McMahon grew up in North Carolina and was introduced to the wrestling business by his father, Vince McMahon Sr., who owned the Capitol Wrestling Corporation, the precursor to what would later become the World Wrestling Federation, and eventually WWE. In the 1970s, after working in the family business, Vince McMahon began expanding his own vision for professional wrestling. He purchased the company from his father in 1982 and immediately set about transforming it into a global entertainment phenomenon. McMahon's first major move was rebranding the WWF as a national and later international product, rather than the regional promotion it had been under his father's leadership. He aggressively pursued TV deals, syndicating WWF programming across the country and breaking the traditional wrestling territorial system. This was a bold and controversial move as it challenged long-standing agreements between regional promoters. McMahon's approach ultimately paid off, as he brought professional wrestling to a mainstream audience in a way that had never been done before. One of McMahon's greatest contributions to the wrestling industry was his ability to fuse sports and entertainment. He famously coined the term sports entertainment to describe the blend of athleticism and scripted drama that defined WWE's product. This concept revolutionized how wrestling was marketed, moving it beyond small venues and local TV broadcasts to become a spectacle that filled arenas and dominated cable television. McMahon introduced larger-than-life characters, intricate storylines, and theatrical productions that blurred the lines between sport and entertainment, attracting a new, broader audience. A major turning point in McMahon's rise was the creation of WrestleMania in 1985. Inspired by the success of Super Bowl-sized events, McMahon saw an opportunity to create a grand spectacle for wrestling. The inaugural WrestleMania was a huge gamble, as McMahon personally financed much of the production. It paid off, becoming a massive success that solidified the WWF's presence in mainstream pop culture. WrestleMania became an annual event that continues to draw millions of viewers worldwide, attracting celebrities, athletes, and global media attention. This event alone is often credited with launching professional wrestling into the mainstream and establishing WWE as the dominant force in the industry. Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, McMahon continued to innovate, pushing WWE's product further into pop culture with major partnerships and branding opportunities. His keen sense of marketing and media strategy led to numerous business ventures, including merchandise, video games, and pay-per-view events, all of which contributed to WWE's meteoric financial success. In 1999, McMahon took WWE public, adding another layer of credibility and financial growth to the company. Under his leadership, WWE became a publicly traded entity, securing its position as the largest professional wrestling company in the world. McMahon's aggressive business tactics were also seen in his role in the famous Monday Night Wars of the 1990s, a ratings battle between WWE's Monday Night Raw and WWCW's Monday Nitro. McMahon's leadership during this period, which included the creation of iconic storylines and characters, allowed WWE to emerge victorious in the ratings war, leading to the eventual purchase of WCW in 2001. This acquisition effectively ended WWE's main competition and further solidified McMahon's control over the professional wrestling landscape. By the early 2000s, McMahon had built WWE into a global brand. WWE events were held internationally, with fans from across the globe tuning into weekly broadcasts, pay-per-view events, and WrestleMania. McMahon was widely credited with taking a niche entertainment product and turning it into a multi-billion-dollar empire. The company's revenue streams expanded significantly under his leadership, with WWE branching into films, reality television, and digital platforms like the WWE Network, further globalizing the brand. In addition to his role as an executive, McMahon became a prominent on-screen character, portraying the villainous Mr. McMahon, a manipulative authority figure who frequently clashed with fan-favorite wrestlers. This character became one of the most recognizable personas in professional wrestling history and helped drive many of the most successful storylines during WWE's peak years. McMahon's leadership legacy prior to the scandal was one of both innovation and controversy. He was often praised for his business acumen and ability to adapt to the changing media landscape, ensuring WWE's relevance through decades of evolving entertainment trends. However, he was also criticized for fostering an environment of intense competition, and some of WWE's storylines and business practices drew public scrutiny over the years. Allegations of labor exploitation, questionable content, and a hard-nosed corporate culture followed McMahon throughout his career, though they never seemed to seriously derail his leadership. In June 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported that Vince McMahon had been accused of multiple instances of sexual misconduct and harassment over several decades. These accusations were not new to McMahon, but what made the 2022 revelations particularly shocking was the scale and scope of the alleged cover-ups. The report detailed how McMahon had paid more than $12 million in hush money to at least 4 women to prevent them from going public with their allegations. The alleged misconduct spanned a period of nearly 2 decades, with the first reported incidents occurring in the early 2000s. The women involved in the allegations included former WWE employees and other individuals associated with the company. The nature of the allegations varied, but many involved sexual harassment, unwanted advances, and in some cases inappropriate relationships that McMahon sought to keep hidden through large payouts. One of the more significant allegations involved a former WWE paralegal with whom McMahon allegedly had an affair. It was reported that McMahon paid her a settlement of $3 million in 2018 to prevent her from disclosing the details of the relationship. The paralegal was reportedly given a significant salary increase during the affair, raising questions about the misuse of company funds. This particular case triggered a broader investigation into McMahon's conduct and how WWE handled such matters internally. As the investigation deepened, it was revealed that McMahon had paid additional settlements, some reaching millions of dollars, to other women over the years. One notable case involved a former wrestler who claimed McMahon had coerced her into a sexual relationship in the mid-2000s. She later received a substantial payout to remain silent. Other allegations included instances of inappropriate behavior during business meetings and public appearances, further tarnishing McMahon's reputation. The allegations against McMahon, combined with the hush money payments, painted a picture of an individual who had abused his power and influence to cover up years of misconduct. While McMahon has not publicly addressed all of the specific allegations, the investigation and media coverage continued to shape public perception of both McMahon and WE in the months following the revelations. The case raised broader issues of accountability, corporate governance, and the treatment of women in the workplace, placing McMahon's legacy under a cloud of controversy. In June 2022, the WWE Board of Directors launched an internal investigation into the conduct of Vince McMahon, the company's longtime CEO and chairman. The investigation was prompted by revelations in the Wall Street Journal, which reported that McMahon had paid more than $12 million in hush money to several women over the course of nearly 2 decades. These payments were made to prevent the women from going public with allegations of sexual misconduct and harassment. The WWE board, aware of the serious implications of these accusations, began by investigating the use of company funds. The central question was whether McMahon had used WWE's resources to facilitate these payments, either directly or indirectly. If company funds were involved, it could not only expose WWE to legal and financial risks, but also raise questions about the governance of the organization under McMahon's leadership. The board had to consider whether there had been a misuse of company assets to cover up personal misconduct. The investigation's first step was to review the financial records surrounding the settlements. These settlements were substantial, with one payout alone reportedly amounting to $3 million and others ranging between $1 and $7 million. While McMahon claimed that the payments had been made from his personal funds, the board needed to verify that no company funds were misused and whether any other WWE resources, such as legal or HR personnel, had been involved in facilitating the agreements. As the investigation progressed, it became clear that these settlements weren't isolated incidents but part of a pattern of behavior. The board examined documents, communications, and witness testimony to determine how these settlements were structured and who within the company knew about them. Some former employees, including paralegals and wrestlers, had been given significant raises or changes in roles after becoming involved with McMahon, raising concerns that company resources had been manipulated for personal gain. This included reviewing whether McMahon had pressured WWE's legal department or other executives to authorize payments that would benefit his personal interests. Simultaneously, the board had to manage the internal dynamics of WWE. Vince McMahon had run the company for over 40 years, and his leadership style was authoritative and centralized. He was not just the CEO, but the face of the company, and his influence permeated every aspect of WWE's operations. The board found itself in a difficult position. Many of its members had worked with McMahon for decades, and he had a strong personal and professional relationship with several senior executives. However, in light of the seriousness of the allegations, the board had to ensure the integrity of the investigation, which meant reviewing the behavior of the very person who had built the company from the ground up. One of the more delicate aspects of the investigation involved WWE's corporate culture. McMahon's leadership had long been seen as a double-edged sword. On one hand, he had been responsible for WWE's global success, transforming it into a multi-billion-dollar entertainment empire. On the other hand, his style of leadership was known to be domineering, and rumors of a toxic workplace environment had circulated for years. This raised the question of whether the alleged misconduct extended beyond McMahon and reflected a broader issue within the company's handling of sexual harassment and the treatment of women. In June 2022, following the explosive revelations of sexual misconduct allegations and hush money payments, Vince McMahon made the decision to temporarily step down as CEO and chairman of WWE. This move came as a result of mounting pressure from the WWE Board of Directors, who had launched an internal investigation into the matter. For many, the news marked a dramatic turning point in McMahon's long and dominant career. As one of the most powerful figures in sports entertainment, McMahon had been synonymous with WWE for over 4 decades, making his decision to step aside a momentous event within both the company and the wrestling industry. As part of the transition, Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter and a longtime WWE executive, was appointed as interim CEO and chairwoman. This leadership change was significant not only because it marked the first time Vince McMahon had formally relinquished control of the company, but also because it placed a new generation of leadership at the helm. Stephanie McMahon had been deeply involved in WWE for much of her career, serving in a variety of roles ranging from talent management to branding and corporate strategy. Prior to the scandal, she had been chief brand officer, helping to shape WWE's global image and brand partnerships. Stephanie's appointment as interim CEO was seen as a move to ensure stability during the crisis. Her extensive experience within WWE and her status as Vince McMahon's daughter made her the natural choice to step into the role. However, this decision also raised some concerns about the potential for conflicts of interest given her family ties and long-standing involvement in the company. Despite this, her leadership during the investigation was viewed by many as a necessary step to maintain operational continuity and protect WWE's reputation. Alongside Stephanie's appointment, other key members of WWE's leadership team, including Nick Khan, who had been serving as WWE's president, and Triple H, who is married to Stephanie and is a key figure in talent development, took on more prominent roles. Nick Khan, who had been instrumental in negotiating major media deals for WWE, including billion-dollar agreements with Fox and NBC Universal, provided corporate stability in the face of uncertainty. Meanwhile, Triple H took on more responsibility in the creative and operational aspects of the company's product, ensuring that WWE's weekly television shows and live events continued without disruption. Despite stepping down, McMahon remained involved with WWE in an unofficial capacity. Reports indicated that he continued to retain some influence behind the scenes, though he no longer held an official title. His continued involvement raised questions about the extent to which WWE was truly operating independently from its longtime leader during the investigation. Nevertheless, the public stance was that McMahon had removed himself from day-to-day operations to allow for an impartial and thorough investigation into the allegations. From a corporate perspective, WWE's brand faced immediate pressure. As a publicly traded company, WWE had to navigate the scandal carefully to avoid damaging its stock price or long-term financial prospects. While WWE's stock initially remained stable, questions loomed about the potential long-term impact on the company's image. Investors were concerned about the leadership vacuum left by McMahon's temporary exit and how the internal investigation would affect WWE's operations and reputation moving forward. WWE had cultivated partnerships with major media companies like NBC Universal and Fox, as well as a strong presence on platforms like Peacock. The scandal put these relationships under scrutiny, with some speculating that advertisers and sponsors might distance themselves from WWE if the situation worsened. WWE's fan base, which spans across different demographics, also reacted in various ways. While some die-hard fans stood by McMahon, arguing that his contributions to the business outweighed the personal allegations, others saw the scandal as a tipping point in how WWE handled internal affairs. There was a growing call for WWE to implement stronger policies around workplace behavior and accountability, not just for McMahon, but for the company as a whole. The fan response on social media reflected a broader societal shift in how people viewed misconduct and abuse of power, especially in light of the #MeToo movement, which had reshaped conversations around sexual harassment and corporate accountability across multiple industries. In early 2023, Vince McMahon made a surprising return to WWE, resuming his role as executive chairman after stepping down amidst the scandal surrounding sexual misconduct allegations and hush money payments. This return came following a significant corporate merger between WWE and UFC's parent company, Endeavor, which reshaped the landscape of the sports entertainment industry. McMahon's re-entry into the company sparked widespread discussion, given the controversy that had forced him out just months earlier. The key event that facilitated McMahon's comeback was the merger between WWE and Endeavor, the parent company of UFC. Announced in April 2023, the deal created a new publicly traded entity that would house both WWE and UFC, merging two of the largest combat sports and entertainment brands in the world. This move was valued at over $21 billion, with WWE's valuation at around $9.3 billion and UFC at approximately $12.1 billion. The merger was seen as a major strategic shift that would allow both companies to leverage their global audiences media rights deals, and event programming to create a sports entertainment powerhouse. McMahon's involvement in this deal was crucial. Despite stepping down in 2022, McMahon remained WWE's largest shareholder, with considerable voting power due to his class of shares. This gave him leverage in negotiating the merger and positioning himself to return to a leadership role. In January 2023, McMahon made headlines by rejoining WWE's board of directors, citing the necessity of his involvement to maximize value for WWE's shareholders as the company explored a sale or merger. This move was seen as controversial, given the ongoing investigation into his past conduct, but McMahon argued that his leadership was essential for guiding the company through a critical period of corporate transition. One of the key reasons McMahon regained his position of power was the strategic importance of his long-standing relationships with media partners and financial institutions. Over the years, McMahon had developed deep connections with major media outlets, including NBC Universal and Fox, which were critical to WWE's lucrative broadcasting deals. With WWE's media rights deal set to be renegotiated in 2024, McMahon's experience and influence were seen as assets in securing the best possible agreements for WWE and its new parent company, Endeavor. From a business standpoint, McMahon's return provided continuity and stability, which reassured investors and media partners during the complex merger process. The UFC-WWE merger was also driven by Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel, who had long been an advocate of McMahon and his business acumen. Emanuel publicly supported McMahon's return, stating that McMahon's experience and vision for WWE were critical to the success of the new entity. Emanuel himself would serve as CEO of the merged company, while McMahon took on the role of executive chairman. This decision highlighted the strategic alignment between McMahon and Endeavor's leadership, as both saw an opportunity to combine the massive fan bases and content production capabilities of WWE and UFC under a unified corporate structure. Nevertheless, McMahon's return marked a new chapter in WWE's evolution as it merged with UFC. The combined entity under Endeavor was positioned to dominate the sports entertainment and combat sports industries, offering a wide range of content, from live events to streaming services. McMahon's return to the role of executive chairman, despite the controversy, underscored his enduring influence and the strategic importance of his leadership in navigating WWE through its most significant corporate transformation to date. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more true crime and behind-the-scenes stories. Make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.